Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here, and welcome to another villain ranking video. In this episode, I'm going to be ranking all of the rogues of movies directed by the underrated Henry Selick. Please note though, I won't be including protagonist or deuteragonist villains. That being said, let the countdown begin. Monkeybone. From Monkeybone, Monkeybone is an animated character created by cartoonist Stu. When Stu tragically ends up in a coma, he's sent to the land of nightmares, where Monkeybone actually exists. Monkeybone seems helpful to Stu at first, but he's actually conspiring to steal Stu's body, in a scheme to spread nightmare juice for the god of sleep. This pervy primate is meant to be a stop-motion Looney Tune, but I would not say that he's a funny tune. You see, his specific sense of humour is a dusty product of the 2000s, a very raunchy and dated style of comedy that's more gross than hilarious in hindsight. Yes, Monkeybone is a villain. He's meant to be vulgar. But the film clearly wants us to laugh at Monkeybone's creepy predatory behaviour, or chuckle at him using Stu's body to try and have sex with an oblivious Julie. Dark comedy is meant to be funny, yet Monkeybone's routine is just icky.
And if you are married, no more stink eye. Plus, they can't testify against you.
Testify about what?
When Monkeybone isn't being uncomfortable to watch, he's just plain annoying. I get that he's supposed to be a nuisance like Bugs Bunny or Daffy Duck, but he's taunter at the expense of a sweet guy who doesn't deserve to be bullied.
No life support? Pull the plug, please.
And there's rarely a funny consequence for Monkeybone's jerkiness. Once Monkeybone possesses Stu's body, Brendan Fraser unfortunately fails to translate the character into live action. Sure, Brendan has shown in the past that he can pull off cartoon-style acting. He just doesn't do a good job at mimicking Monkeybone's over-the-top zaniness. He plays the part more like an anti-Stu doppelganger than as a wacky cartoon character trapped inside his cartoonist.
The merchandising synergizes the religion, and the religion synergizes the Barbara Walters special, and then, baby, we are all in the United Empire of Monkeybonia!
Heck, he very rarely even leans into monkey mannerisms. However, I can scrape a few praises for this villain. For example, I like that, despite his hypermasculine overconfidence, he has a vivid anxiety of death that can slow down his train. It's a phobia that remains consistent and helps flesh him out a bit.
He got an exit pass. Where's mine?
Stu!
When do I get to go home?
Stu, please. Let's not disturb the nice reaper.
Also, even though he's technically working for the god of sleep, Monkeybone is the one in charge of executing his boss's scheme. And there's admittedly an element of creativity to turning his own merch into a weapon, so credit where it's due.
Could you fill these babies up with a particulate solution of 1 part powdered chemical enzyme to 10 parts water?
Interestingly too, Monkeybone doesn't get the conventional villain defeat, because he's meant to represent Stu's dark, spicy side, something that everybody has deep down, no matter how much of a cinnamon roll they are.
Where's Monkeybone?
Back in your head where he belongs. You know, Stu, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but on your own, you're a tad vanilla.
These compliments aside, Monkeybone is still the very worst Henry Selick villain to me, an artifact of an outdated comedy brand that never truly captures the genuine charm of a wacky antagonistic tune. Buffalo Belzer from Wendell and Wild. This king of demons runs the traumatizing Scream Fair, an underworld for the dead that tortures souls via ride attractions. Belzer also happens to be a dad, but not a very supportive one, hence why his sons Wendell and Wild escape to the surface to fund their very own fair. Buffalo is a fashionable and vain creature that uses his afterlife realm as an excuse to feed his ego. He doesn't care who these souls used to be or whether they deserve damnation, he just sees them all as a tool for his vanity.
Say my name. Say my name!
The Scream Fair is a very obvious metaphor for a Claxon prison, a hellhole that puts emphasis on torment over redemption or mercy, all while Belzer's sons, despite their eccentricities, are actually amazing visionaries who have come up with a fair that shows compassion to souls. Instead of listening to his kids' revolutionary ideas, Belzer enslaves Wendell and Wild into farmers, who have to keep his aging head of hair alive each and every day. So it's no wonder the boys resort to running away.
Steal your cream?
Come to the land of the living?
Well, why wouldn't we, Dad?
While Belzer does spend most of the film lazing about on his back, he still shows a lot of intimidation as a gigantic demon. Heck, when he finally enters Earth, he proves himself to be the most powerful villain in the whole film, an enormous beast who makes all the other baddies seem puny. Thankfully, it's a beautiful piece of art that wakes the raging father up from his rampage.
A parent protecting their child.
What we all try to do.
Every parent.
Not me.
it's a little hard to decide whether he actually deserves a redemption, because on the one hand, he is willing to be a better dad from now on, greenlights the Dream Fair, and contributes his minions to the fight against the Claxons. On the other hand, this is still a very evil creature who has caused eons of suffering. Then again, is it really fair to measure a demon's morality based on human ethics? I don't know. Either way, Buffalo Belzer still brings some fun kaiju spectacle to this wacky horror comedy, while also playing an intricate part in the film's many themes. Father Bess from Wendell and Wild. Bess is the headmaster of a struggling school that desperately needs funding, and a new reform program grants him that support. However, when the evil Claxons see him as a threat to their scheme, they murder him in cold blood. Fortunately, thanks to some quirky demons called Wendell and Wild, the father is miraculously resurrected. The undead priest then agrees to team up with his new monster friends, and surprisingly turns to his own murderers for financial support. There is something sympathetic about this villain, because he's the principal for a school that's opening its arms to students in need, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to keep his falling apart academy afloat.
This school's in trouble, isn't it? You need that break the cycle money.
And you need a fresh start.
Plus, he does later become yet another victim of the Claxons' ongoing scam. Unfortunately, thanks to being brought back to life by the enemies of his very religion, he's ended up betraying his own spiritual morals, and now embraces the kind of behavior that he's meant to breach against.
What's going on?
Oh no, my.
I can see your hat.
Ding dong! Gotcha!
It's hard to even say that he's driven primarily by his love for his students anymore too, because he's suddenly willing to unfairly punish any pupils that dare to question his authority.
Hostage situation and headmasters.
What?
Penguins deployed.
Not holding you hostage.
Sure, he's a rather jittery and sensitive fellow at heart, but his fancy new makeover and recent defiance against death itself have given him a confidence boost. Not to mention, even if he does have a moment of panic, a plan B will quickly strike his noggin before any anxiety attacks.
Yes. Hitch up the wagon.
So what's the game plan, Padre?
Ding dong ditch.
He has a pretty undignified walk of shame once defeated. However, the father's ultimate mistake was not realizing the bigger picture and how his school's deterioration was actually a product of the Claxons' tyranny. In the end, it's actually the dismantling of the Claxons' present state that leads to the school being restored. Hypnos from Monkey Bone. This god of sleep tricks our comatose hero Stu into losing his body to the wicked Monkey Bone, who has been secretly working with Hypnos behind Stu's back. Hypnos is a sleazeball and crook, but I would be lying if I said that he wasn't cool. This is a villain with an eye for chic. From his tailored black and white suit to his hypnosis-inspired pad. Sure, he might be short for a demon, but he carries himself like he towers over everyone.
You set me up easy, pal. I was just coming to congratulate you.
Yeah, he blatantly looks like the devil, so it's hard for him to seem approachable and trustworthy, but that does not stop him from trying. The man can really turn on the charm and friendliness when he wants to butter up a mortal.
Hey, I'm glad you could make it, man. We see a lot of nightmares down here, but yours are like caviar.
We shouldn't be surprised though, because he's also been able to imprison many of history's greatest villains, which speaks volumes for how good he is at getting his own way, because even other evil narcissists can fall for his charisma. It's also very impressive that he's able to wrangle the chaotic Monkey Bone. Heck, Hypnos even uses his role as the god of sleep to creepily invade Monkey Bone's dreams just to berate his incompetence.
We sent you up here to make nightmares. Now you get out there and you get that nightmare juice and you get to work.
Saying that, Hypnos also happens to share Monkey Bone's same weakness for women, and luckily, Stu has a friend who can take advantage of that horniness. Unfortunately though, after Stu is freed from the dungeon, Hypnos is never seen again for the rest of the film. Even though he's the mastermind behind the entire Nightmare Juice conspiracy, nightmares are his food for survival, so it would have been fun to see what happens once he starves. Spiker and Sponge from James and the Giant Peach. This pair of sisters end up inheriting their orphan nephew James, but they are terrible guardians that love to mistreat him. One day, a giant peach grows in their garden, and they turn it into a money-making attraction. However, James ends up hijacking the oversized fruit with his insect friends in a bid to get to New York, so the aunts travel the ocean to retrieve their gold mine. True to Roald Dahl villain fashion, these nasty siblings are as cruel as abusive families can come. They turn their very own nephew into a personal slave and force him to perform a strict schedule every single day.
Already wasted 4 minutes of daylight. Look at him!
Lollygagging in dreamland.
They only serve him rotting food too, and shame him if he doesn't show gratitude for their expired slop.
Oh, do let me guess. They're not good enough for him.
This is all already disgusting, but they also belittle James and try to convince him that he's worthless. They want this newly orphaned child to just see himself as nothing. And we can add physical abuse to their list of crimes too.
How dare you disagree with us?
Beat him, Sponge.
It's too early.
At the same time, the movie knows that narcissists are clowns who desperately want to be taken seriously, so these aunts might act scary and tough, but behind their Halloween masks are two sad, pathetic old ladies. A pair of women who live in dire living conditions and need a giant peach to pull themselves out of poverty, yet they both delude themselves into thinking that they're glamorous stars sat in luxury.
I look and smell. I do declare.
There's a reason why Selick hired British comedy actresses Joanna Lumley and Mary Margolyes. These actresses are 100% self-aware that their villains are supposed to be laughingstocks, and both of them revel in their darkly comic roles.
Can you smell that, Spiky? It smells delicious. No! It smells like money.
The aunts sneer at James's potential, yet he's the one that ends up captaining a flying peach all the way to New York and also finds a loving chosen family that makes him feel worthy. All while the aunts can't function without a child slave to exploit or a giant peach to run dry, which just goes to show who the real losers are.
I made it! I'm not the one who's nothing, you are! And I'm never going back with you!
The Rhino from James and the Giant Peach. Not long ago, James was once having a happy day at the beach with his mum and dad, but then suddenly, a giant rhino gobbled up his parents and left him as an orphan. This is one of the more abstract villains in Selick's Rogues Gallery, because it's based entirely on Roald Dahl's absurdist logic. There's no real-world simplification for this rhino's existence, it just is. And there's an ominous dread to that lack of explanation. It's less of a traditional baddie, and more of a fantastical metaphor for James's grief and fears. Almost like it's a collective projection of James's PTSD. Sure, the rhino is more bark than bite in the finale, but that's the whole point. We don't get a physical showdown against him, we have a battle of the mind, heart and soul, because this rhino resembles James's darkest thoughts and feelings. James has found a chosen family that adores him, and has accomplished amazing things on his adventure, so now he can prove that he has the confidence and self-love needed to defeat a storm that symbolises his pain and trauma. The Rhino is so unique for a kids movie antagonist that I wish that we had more animated villains like them. Lane and Irmgard Claxon from Wendell and Wild. The Claxons are a pair of British business crooks who desperately want to build a prison for the town of Rustbank, but a local council keep rejecting their pitch. So they team up with demons Wendell and Wild to bring back the old guard in a bid to rig the next council vote. In a film full of demons and ghouls, it's actually these two wealthy snobs that take the cake for villainy.
Drowning is so peaceful.
A greedy duo that have burned down Rustbank's biggest factory, which in turn has led to a domino effect on the humble town of Rustbank. They have no pride in their town, or concern for its townspeople. They just see it as a piece of land that they feel entitled to. Their dream prison is also rooted entirely in profit and has no intention of redeeming its prisoners. Their scheme is very twisted and even their own daughter has worked it out.
You make a pile of money for every prisoner you take. So you pack them in like sardines, provide crap food, crap medical, dangerous conditions and zero rehabilitation.
Every part of our villain's intricate scheme feeds into each other, and no one is spared as a victim in their meticulously designed factory-like prison system.
We make it impossible for them to succeed there, and when they fail...
Our new prison will be waiting with open arms.
It's bad enough that homicide and arson are on the table for them, but they're also willing to play God with the dead just to bend democracy in their favour.
Have you lost your mind?
I have to, Fauci. All living council members get to vote.
The Claxons do eventually pay the price for their crimes, but even after the film wraps itself up, we have to eerily remind ourselves that the Claxons' crimes aren't that cartoonish, because in real life, corrupt prisons do benefit the rich. Oogie Boogie. From The Nightmare Before Christmas, with help from his loyal trick-or-treater minions, the evil Oogie gets his hands on the beloved Santa Claus and turns the whimsical holiday icon into his hostage during Christmas. Oogie is up there as one of the best animated villains of all time, a thing of child's nightmares that loves to haunt the night of Halloween, yet also steals the movie as a fun Vegas-inspired entertainer. It's just that his stage happens to be his dark lair that can only be described as a creative combination of a neon casino and a medieval torture dungeon, a villain base that gives him plenty of space to dance, while also serving as the perfect booby trap temple for any hero who dares to step inside. The Vegas theming isn't just for spectacle though, because gambling is the heart of his villainy, as he loves to bet on his victims' lives for the thrill of it, and he'll even rig the game just to make their deaths come sooner.
Snake eyes? Good. 11! Looks like I won the jackpot!
He's also a refreshingly different take on the Boogeyman that's unique to this movie, a stage-punk humanoid that has crawling insects living inside of him, but said bugs aren't just here to add to his creepiness. A few tugs at his seams show how his skin holds all of these bugs together, and that he needs these insects to have a living body, almost like he's a paranormal being that possesses bugs, which is such a disturbingly ambiguous idea for a kids' movie villain.
My bugs! My bugs!
Lastly, Oogie also happens to perform one of the best villain songs of all time, a self-titled musical number that works as a diss track against Santa, and a chance for Oogie to show off his infamy as a villain. The whole song is bursting with bouncy jazz, while also oozing with sleaze at the same time, with the booming vocals of the late great Ken Page adding a punch to every mean lyric or arrogant flex.
He's ancient, he's ugly, I don't know which is worse.
Oogie Boogie may be a Tim Burton creation and a tribute to Rankin Bass villains, but director Henry Selick deserves a lot of credit for bringing him to life and fleshing him out into the show-tapping monster that we all love. Before I reveal my number one pick, please consider subscribing to my channel for more fun animation-related videos. Thank you. Of a Mother from Coraline. Young Coraline tires of her boring new home and resents her parents for being busy workers. One night though, she discovers a portal to a world where she has other parents and more exciting apartments, but it turns out to be too good to be true, because the other mother is actually a predatory monster called the Beldam. The genius of the other mother is that she's a mistress of manipulation and fabrication. She uses a simulated whimsical world to draw in Coraline, while also spoiling her at every chance, and distracting the child with shallow dazzles.
Home? We've been waiting for you, Coraline.
She has dark intent behind the scenes, but she's careful about which card she plays and when, because a fly trap needs to work first. Tactics and patience are her key.
Oh. The mud.
Even when she gets to the edge of winning, she doesn't cockily say checkmate just yet. She also sneakily throws in some last-minute love bombing for good measure.
I'll be happy to tuck you in.
Oh, no thanks. You've done so much already.
You're welcome.
Luckily, Coraline does discover the Beldam's secret, but this doesn't stop our villainess from strategizing steps ahead. Not only does this other mother kidnap Coraline's real parents, but she tries to make our heroine's game to victory very hard to conquer. This villain really knows how to build walls up against the chances of losing. What I love the most about the Beldam though, is that Selick tries to make her as mysterious as possible as a folklore creature. She's the epitome of great horror filmmaking, because we're left with a monster that can't be easily defined, and that lack of detailed lore forces our imaginations to go wild.
You know I love you.
The other mother is peak children's horror villainy, a demoness that's as creative and intelligent as she is scary and menacing. I wouldn't be surprised if she made it hard for kids to sleep at night. If you enjoyed this video, then go check out my other villain ranking videos. I've been Jambareeqi, cheerio folks.